Super Mario Party was seen as the game that would go back to the past of the Mario Party series after some installments that really hit hard against the series' core mechanics of being a party board game. However, many long-time fans of the series did not think it caught the magic of the old games, and letdowns were raining down all over the game. Maybe the biggest initial disappointment was how extremely limited the promised online multiplayer functionality was, which has since been fixed. However, that would soon be dwarfed by how disappointed people were with the boards of the game. After many hours of playing all the Super Mario Party boards, I think I have finally identified why that is. And it isn't just the low numbers of boards. Join in as I delve into why I think the boards of Super Mario Party were a flop. Mario Party. A lot of people growing up in the 90s to early 2000s have very fond memories of this franchise. It was the go-to party game back then. The mix of minigames and board game elements create a wonderful experience that took elements from both family board games and video games to create something unique and a special kind of appeal to gamers. Nowadays, it might be hard to imagine just how magical a game like Mario Party felt in the 90s. But the beautiful 3D animated minigames with these varied controls felt like a technological marvel back then in an era where gaming in 3 dimensions was still a very new thing. Over the decades, the franchise kept on delivering game after game after game, and became one of those titles you were certain would arrive on your Nintendo system as a solid multiplayer game to enjoy with your friends and family. However, then arrived Mario Party 9. In Mario Party 9, they start to replace the traditional board game structure with a structure that had players driving around in the shared car, removing a lot of the interesting board interactions that played a huge part in what made Mario Party feel special, leaving just the minigames in there really. Then Nintendo announced Super Mario Party, and the fans were hyped for its return to the traditional board game structure that was the signature feature of the series that set it apart from most other minigame collections on the market. Fans had gone over an entire console generation without having a traditional Mario Party game and were starving for a new game to have as the go-to party game. With hype like this behind it, it would be hard to ever reach up to the expectations of the hungry players. However, when it was revealed that there would only be 4 boards, that was a blow far larger than any player could have expected. Though most people were hoping that at least the 4 boards in the game would be very well designed. So, were they? This is a very complicated question, to which after many hours with each board, the answer is both yes and no. I will start with the positives, as I feel like these are rarely spoken about for this game, and there are some huge positives in the board design in this title. The boards of Super Mario Party are from a game mechanical and strategic perspective extremely varied, and how players should tackle each board is more varied than in many of the classic Mario Party titles. Most boards in Super Mario Party allows for different strategies for both long-term and short-term gains. Will you go for a star immediately, or will you try to grab an ally or two to be able to in future turns rush towards the stars faster and securing more potential bonus stars? Or will you try to farm Boo or the star pipes and keep them from messing up with players as they themselves go for the stars? In addition to this, each board comes with its own unique choices in how to handle their mechanics. Mega Fruit Paradise, for example, which is this game's island hopper map, has 4 different islands with different appeals to each of them, but also different drawbacks. On this map, navigation can be particularly rough as the only way to get from the top half to the bottom half of the map is through event spaces. But not only that, the west and east part of each half is also separated by bridges, with different mechanics behind them, limiting access further. Most of the pearls and mechanics of this map can be manipulated heavily by skillful use of items, allies, and different dice blocks though, which makes it so that the player's choices really matters on this map, both long-term and short-term. Meanwhile, carrying tantalizing towers changes the price of the star whenever someone reaches them, and in addition to this, offers the opportunity to buy more than 1 star at once. The board also offers a lot of shortcuts the player can pick on their way up to the star. This creates a board that can sometimes feel like a chicken race towards the star, While you want to eventually get the star, you maybe not want to buy them when they are the most expensive. While whenever a star is 5 coins each player will surely race to get up there as soon as possible to make use of that. The economics of this board also really makes minigames matter a lot more than on other boards. The board effects are also visually stunning, and each board's theme is very distinct, creating huge variation with a small roster of boards. Although all of these things are very important, making a game taking the step from being a great game to a classic game, none of these things are what is the most important for a Mario Party game though. Most of the variations we'll be talking about from a strategic perspective are extremely subtle and becomes apparent first after you have been playing on each board multiple times with intention to play the board and learn its meta. Anyone who has played Mario Party before knows that this isn't exactly how Mario Party is played by the general population. Mario Party is first and foremost a party game, not an esports title. From a general audience perspective, the difference between each board are actually seen as very slight, as the core designs of each board looks awfully similar, and the ways each board handles are on a first glance almost identical. Maybe with an except for Kamek's Tantalizing Tower, which has some wacky rules going on with it. The board design is on this for a casual player important first glance extremely bland, as most people wouldn't notice the subtle details such as space placements on their first couple of playthroughs. I know I didn't during the first couple of playthroughs I had on the boards in this game, and I did think that the boards were horrible when I first played the game. A casual player would not notice that the middle section of King Papa's Parquet Mine has far more ally, lucky and item space than the rest of the map. Nor that the bottom left part of Megafruit Island is quite heavy on luck, item and ally spaces in addition to its golden pipe shop, which makes it a very good island to walk around even when the star isn't there, and is in the early game actually a far smarter place to go to than towards the star, due to the limit in how often the golden pipe shop can be used on this board. While all Mario Party titles had strategic nuances that experienced players could take advantage of to gain a massive advantage over the competition, all of them still had very apparent and strong core mechanics of each board that were very distinct from one another. And the worst part is, most core mechanics of Super Mario Party are actually found within other boards in the other Mario Party games, only they were more strongly visible in those games. The separate islands in Mega Fruit Paradise could be found on Yoshi's Tropical Island, where one island had Boo and the other had Koopa. But also the way to handle the island movement was something that was far more in control of the player, and was actually far more impactful, as a skilled player could in effect lock up all other players on the Koopa Island, creating more apparent player input. The Star Rush Chicken Race was seen in Mario's Rainbow Castle with higher stakes as well, which made it feel far more intense with less tools. The bigger boulder was more of a big deal in the original, which actually sent you forward, making you miss stars and even Boo, rather than backwards as in Super Mario Party. The spaces even remained after they had been used, meaning that the core mechanics stayed longer and always was a threat the player had to take into account. The only core mechanic that a casual player would grasp at a first glance that weren't already in Mario Party 1 is actually King Bomb, who takes away half your coins if you are in the middle square when his counter reaches 0. That was a mechanic that, believe it or not, was in the game before. Hold in here, you won't believe when I say this. Mario Party 2. Yeah. And both of these games had more maps with far more apparent and board warping core mechanics than these, for better and for worse. This is a huge problem for a game that too many was seen as going back to form for a franchise that drifted away for a long time. People are not going to be forgiving to Super Mario Party after the disastrous car mechanics in the last few installments. And when what they get is what seems to be a light version of the original Mario Party from Nintendo 64 that was released 20 years ago, with a little bit of paint job, the verdict will not be merciful. Fewer boards with what at first glance looks like fewer mechanics makes it look like a very basic game with very little to offer its players. At that point, it doesn't matter that there are a lot of strategic choices that making playing the boards multiple times far more interesting than normal, as the boards will keep growing on you. Before you get that point, where you can enjoy the subtle mechanics of Super Mario Party's boards, You will have grown tired to what is presented to you on its face value, despite the good minigames. Because what Mario Party fans have been waiting for years has not been another minigame collection, but a traditional true to form Mario Party game. I wish many would feel was half granted by Super Mario Party with its low amount of boards. While I have to give a lot of credit to Super Mario Party for its competitive balance on the boards and the deep nuances on how to play on each of the boards for an experienced player to take use of, that kind of esports-like gameplay is not what people have ever been playing Mario Party for. People have been playing Mario Party to have some fun with their friends and family who are not by necessity gamers, and these design choices that gives few boards that feels extremely clean and simplistic hurts the enjoyment you get out of those play sessions with those friends and family more than it helps. It feels like while aiming to give the game the qualifiers of a great competitive party game, they somewhere forgot about what makes Mario Party into Mario Party, and it shows. Gone are most of the extremely game-altering RNG elements such as chance time that, while annoying at the time, created epic stories that were told for years to come and always had people yearning for more Mario Party. Gone are the game-altering board mechanics such as the event space, the Bowser's Magma Mountain that turned all blue spaces red, or the door system for Luigi's Machine Room that forced players to go in certain directions. What is left in its place is a perfect clockwork of combined mechanics playing into one another to create a more complex experience that feels less exciting. Mario Party never was about competitive balance, it was all about chaotic interactions between the players and the board. I really hate to criticize the boards for this game like this, I really do. Personally, as someone who has spent many hours on each board to learn every in and out of them, I do appreciate the subtle nuances so much. I love how each square feels like we're purposely placed there in a careful balancing act. It is a delight to see from a game design perspective, but I have to give criticism what has to be given. When this beautiful mathematically perfect design comes in the way of the mandatory design of the game in question for most of its audience, it becomes a problem. And that is what is the problem here. I feel like Super Mario Party went too heavily on keeping perfect competitive balance of the boards, to the point where they did barely have time for anything else. Or the courage to experiment with some of the awesome board altering mechanics that previous Mario Party titles have been known and beloved for. And that's sad because each of the 4 boards are wonderful skeletons, honestly, to keep adding onto. I would love if there, for example, was another big blooper on Mega Fruit Island that sometimes attacked certain islands, pushing the players on said islands to the island north or south from it. Maybe once every 2 turns, one island will get attacked, starting with the top left, moving down towards the bottom right. Or if Kamek's Tantalizing Tower offered a special service in a space, or through an item special to that map that allows you to change place with an opponent that's further from the start than you are. Yes, you're that right, further, not closer. To really play into that chicken race mechanic of the board. It would add some chaos to the boards, but it would be mechanics that felt more impactful than any mechanics currently on the board. And would create far more memorable games and rekindle that Mario Party experience people have been longing for so long. This is, however, just my opinion and should be taken as such. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more gaming related content from me, please feel free to subscribe to my channel and press the notification bell in case you want YouTube to notify you instead of just pushing the recommendations. Also feel free to press that cute little like button, and if you have any questions or anything you want to add to the topic, feel free to leave a comment in the comment section below. And as always, until next time, plenty of hugs and stay cute and wonderful.